here in which we would be talking about a little bit of KQA stuff, and I gave him a couple of questions I figured that may be interesting from his perspective to answer on that
Oh,
front as
cool.
well.
That's awesome.
So I know I've seeded a question for you as well, but I definitely have thought of some interview-esque things to be able to talk to you about. So
That's awesome. I love that.
yeah, while we're playing, so it'll be making it even more difficult for you to be able to respond.
I like that.
All right. I don't think I have you on my friends list.
That
So,
makes sense.
what is your
Uh,
in-game name?
so it's Woody, and then just hashtag 6838.
Okay. All right. Cool. So one thing I thought would be interesting to go over was some of the stuff that 10th letter was talking about for when we beyond like kind of like the interview stuff. Just like what is it that you as a queen look for in IGL play for what you're looking for in like the first like half second for like what relative queen positions, danger, objective pressure, military presence, and stuff like that for like, what guides your decision when you're queening.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good.
Yep. And we can talk through that by just like talk about where each of us are positioned relative to the map. Okay, so we have that, and then I had all the suggestions that I had as well of like positions for choke points for and just queen fundamental techniques that use in
Yeah.
KQA and KQB, but primarily KQB for these demonstrations.
Cool. Sounds good.
Okay, cool.
What's up, Penguin?
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome, man. Thanks for showing
Yeah.
up.
Yes, it'll be fun.
So let's see, what other good things would we have here? I think I was just telling Woody about some of the things we should probably try to get on video this time, which was like the suggestions in the KQB video ideas under the flight school stuff, which is basically like what you think of when you're queening for positioning at the opening maps. Like, what do the enemy positions do to determine where you go and what's important to you?
I see that.
Okay. I am going to add you into this group as well. And we'll have the two of you kind of square off here. How would you guys like to do this for doing these demonstrations? I figure having a relatively barren set of no bots or anything like that would be helpful for some of this recording. It may depend on what topic you have, but I figure having me as a worker to be able to go and spike and kill, and you guys doing your things as queen would be the best thing to do. But I'm open to suggestions.
What? I mean, that sounds pretty good to me.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Hey everyone, I'm here. Actually, I should check really quick. Woody, are you also streaming on your side?
Yep. Yes, I am live.
All right, fantastic. So, I'm here with Woody, the KQA queen, probably one of the best in the business in that regard, and I'm also here with Penguin, the probably arguably the best queen in KQB. So, welcome everybody. Thank you for both for being here. This is Flight School. Woody, you want to talk a little bit about what Flight School is?
Sure. So, Killer Queen Flight School started, I think, before Killer Queen Black even existed, as a Killer Queen arcade project to basically consolidate all the information that was out there about Killer Queen Arcade. Because in order to become an excellent player, I spent literal years talking to like all these top players and asking them like how they view the game and how they view strategy, and it took forever to just like consolidate all this information into like the consensus around openers and flowcharts and priorities and all of that. And so after I'd had a degree of success, I thought one of the easiest ways that we could level up newer players or newer teams or developing teams, especially at a point when we had, I think it was like 15 new communities open up nationwide. They like new cities that got new cabinets and people started playing. Like one of the best ways that we could grow that player base and get them up to speed as quickly as possible is just being like, hey, this is how you open up on the maps. You should be looking to prioritize these things. You should typically be running either 2-2 barrier, 3-1 snail. Like this is how all the top teams across the country are playing. And in doing so, you just elevate everybody. And it was like, I think overwhelmingly focused on that side of things, while also once you have that groundwork and that framework right, you can start talking about more like complicated concepts, and start like really getting to like the nitty gritty of strategy. But without like that essential framework, you can't really like expand that conversation well. And then that's when we started pushing out videos like lockout and recovery for whenever they're completely wiped and you're trying to hold them down, locking them out of the gates, making sure they don't get anyone up, and recovery when you're wiped and you have no gates and you got to get people up. And then flight school kind of hit like a bit of a bump, because I had lots of ideas and lots of plans. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit and all the bars shut down and we weren't playing anymore, I wasn't playing any Killer Queen Arcade, and the channel didn't really have anything going on. So I actually started streaming on Twitch around that time, doing these Flight School office hours, where people would just hop in the Discord, we would just hang out, we would just chat about the game. It was a way for the arcade community to like find each other in these like difficult times where, you know, typically we would have all seen each other like a few times at different tournaments by then. And it was like, hey, let's all get together and hang out and chat about the game, miss each other, remember that this is still a great game that we all want to play again someday. And then the pandemic just kept going. And I was like, well, I don't know what to do now. And I started playing a lot of Killer Queen Black, probably in about, I think it was July of this year. I started playing a ton of Killer Queen Black, and now I'm playing an IGL. And so I started transitioning Killer Queen to Killer Queen Black content. We had another Flight School office hours, and a bunch of Killer Queen Black people came in, and we talked about Killer Queen Black strategy, and that was really fantastic. I started casting IGL matches on the Killer Queen Flight School Twitch account, and just like really kind of like involving myself in that community. So I want to also do more Killer Queen Black like video content. We have, I think, 4 videos up for Killer Queen Black content on our YouTube already. We partnered with Yeesh for that. He produced some videos. He did like a differences video, like, hey, you've played Killer Queen Arcade, now you're looking to play, or you've played Killer Queen Black, now you're looking to play Killer Queen Arcade. I think that was the approach he took. And like, what are the differences? How does it work? And then he did like intro videos to each of the military types, you know, like how like recharge rates work, like, you know, the little things that someone has to explain to you. Like if you're facing rightwards on while using a mace, it'll spin clockwise, where if you're facing leftwards, it'll spin counterclockwise, like that little stuff. And we haven't really done a ton with the Killer Queen Black video content, and I want to do more there.
which is an opportunity for us to be able to go and record some of that stuff here. In fact, which
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
what I'm going to start up. Unfortunately, we idled for a little bit too long in terms of the interview, so I have to go and reset that up for a second here. I was actually going to go and talk about like where we're going to be heading in here. Penguin, let's go back on the queen side on the left for blue. Since we also have a little penguin dude here, I also wanted to ask a couple of questions about just basically like if you since we mentioned that Yeesh has some was consulted about. Look, if you're coming from KQA, here's some things that you'd want to worry about in KQB. Do you have any thoughts about like what some overall strategy things people should have when they're starting out? Let's go ahead and start on pod, just as like give you guys a tool to be able to visualize anything you want to demonstrate.
Yeah, got some ideas here.
All right.
So, I think one big thing to mention in KQB though, compared to KQA, would be there's a lot of farming off of drones when they're coming out of invulnerability, and you have to take a lot of punish opportunities in KQB in order to make sure your drones can get where they need to be. Because with a dash, obviously in KQB, it's probably a lot easier to farm drones. So you really have to help your drones get out of the hive and escort them wherever they need to go.
Yeah.
So
You're much faster than the drones in KQB in a way you're not in KQA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if I was to be doing an opening with you here, what would you kind of prioritize as the first thing that you would do on pod in particular?
So pod being a more military-based map, you obviously don't want to get locked out. So one of my main priorities is getting my at least one warrior out. So I usually go to close gate following my worker, and I make sure that I can get at least one warrior out. And then afterwards, I would try and get a second warrior out with a speed warrior in order to get some upgrades or to get some sort of advantage on the other team.
How do you
just to
prioritize?
make sure we're strong?
You indicated you prioritize the close gate compared to the far gate, which is kind of like a more defensive opening as a queen. When you're doing the speed sword warrior upgrade that you tend to do you tend to like to do that building on the opponent's closer gate, or do you tend to do it also on the close gate?
I do tend to do it on the close gate because I'll usually get my warrior out, and then that warrior will stick with me, so we'll double hold to get a speed warrior out just to confirm we get that upgrade.
Okay, so if that's the case, if I was to go and try to like that would mean that the second worker would be stacking on top of the gate on the left side here, right? When the first one's getting up.
Yep.
Okay. Are there times where you what situations do you think it's better to kind of like change this opening, make it so that it's better to put pressure on the opposing queen?
Possibly if they're just killing me on the open or whatever, I might switch it up and try and wrap with my worker, and so they're not ready for it. And either probably just try and escape the other queen and make it less predictable what I'm gonna do on the open in order to make sure I get a warrior out and just keep my life. Because keeping your life on the open is way more important than getting a kill. It's all about just staying alive.
Which means then that it's basically like about aggression here, about like if the opponent's taking space really effectively, you will tend to vary it up to be able to counter that that particular set of movements, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Woody, could you get clear on me, please?
Oh yeah, sure.
Thank you. All right. So, Woody, what are your thoughts about opens on pod in particular?
So that's super interesting. That's really useful, insightful. Penguin. I feel like I see people crossing a lot on pod. Like people like flirt with this gate, but sometimes people just like go under like this and dive over to far gate. And so I could definitely see how like the preemptive diving to your near gate would mean that like they can't really do that, right? Like if you're there before them, they have to like take the space from you. I feel like my envisionment is that I'm usually sending a drone to like pretty much every gate, so that like regardless of what happens with me, you know, like queen weirdness, and like those dynamics, I'm gonna get someone up somewhere. And I think I'm usually looking to push a little more advantage at open than falling back to my near gate early on.
Okay. So it sounds like there's a couple of different strategies that you would kind of employ here for how you would kind of like get things up on the open. So I want to just do a quick simulation here of like let's reset our queens as if we're doing an opening, and I'm just basically going to go and try to be like Penguin's escort. And we'll see in real time how you guys would kind of like do to be what you would do in order to try to be able to counter these positions. So, Penguin, come back up to the top of the gate. Thank you. All right. So we've agreed on the open. Penguin, I'm going to do the exact same thing you indicated I would do. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, that was a good punish. So, obviously it takes, sometimes they can just get the edge, so that's obviously where Woody's opener works, where you sit a worker to both gates, just in case something like that happens. That was a good kill.
So in that case, it looked like Woody was looking to try to get the punish on the second ones if I miss inputted my opening there, because the correct opening would be for me to grab the berry, get right up in here, and take that sword gate immediately. And now I can put pressure on the queen.
And to be fair, so Penguin, go back down to left gate and Argwas too. So like, say you're getting up right now, and so like Penguin, if you go, I'm tagging this gate, and I'm gonna hang out here. Like I hit the J dive and we played pretty aggressively, but I can just take this spot right, and you're fortifying for sure. But I do like that I have mid gate tagged. I know gate tags are less important in KQB, but I do like that I have mid gate tagged, and like so we each have 1.5 gates, right? Because right gate shouldn't be tagged for either team right now. And so we're both sitting at like, I guess 2 gates because we both have right gate. But you're gonna be able to fortress up more because I feel like your drones will be able to do more work over here. Like my drone could just get bumped into perpetuity and denied out of right gate.
So you mentioned holding space in this area that's like right here, just basically like threatening. It's a very KQA move, just because of the fact that in KQA you have the ability to this you want to hold like this spot like right here onto the platform. That's that's where people will walk into you and get killed. But in KQB, it's you basically are threatening an L dive move. Would you mind just for really quickly, let's define what the L dive is in KQB.
Sure. So the L dive is just whenever you're a queen and you're above a ledge right here, and you want to be able to get to scraping at the ledge very quickly. You want to get to that position, so you just dive and then dash under the ledge. The first one was so good.
Yeah, you did it perfectly, and I was going to be like, what's the visual cue? Actually, I think this is a good question for Penguin too. I'm going to ask Woody first. What is the good visual cue that you have for being able to relatively reliably hit that L dive?
So your body, like, will, wherever your head is where you turn, right? So it's like you're diving, when you dash, wherever your head was when you dash is where you completely turn horizontally. And so it's like right when you get your head below the ledge is kind of what I'm looking for. And I'm not that good at this specific tech. I think Penguin's going to be able to speak to it a lot more. But that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Penguin, what other factors do you consider, or rather, actually, what's your answer to the same question?
Yeah, it would be about the same visual, but I like to also go with a more timing approach. So I've been trying to count around a certain amount of time where I need to time the dash. I don't think I'm the best J diver in the game. I think that would probably go to KG right now, but it's definitely, for me, it's more about just counting to a certain amount. I don't even I'm not perfect on it yet, but I'm trying to like figure out the perfect timing for it. So it's getting better. Perfect J's are hard, but also sometimes it's good to just get a little bit of a J.
From the warrior perspective, when I've been doing my things, I've noticed that there is a thing about where my head is relative to the platform, and there's a distance factor here too. If you're closer by, it's lower for where the target is. So like if I was to do like this move right here, I can get it to be square on the kind of like on the ledge. But if I'm looking around here, my head goes like right around where the platform is itself, and I usually will hit the L dive as a warrior. I think it's just harder as queen, which is why I was hoping for your insight on that too. So you think that you're still trying to like figure out, you kind of count on your head? Is there like a number you go to, or is there a just like you just kind of are timing frames in your head?
Mostly timing, because it happens in around under a second, so it's kind of impossible to count, but it's more of just timing the frames or whatever. I'm still trying. I think it'd be interesting to hear from some of the best J divers in the game, though, on like what they're aiming for, because I definitely been struggling with that, but I've been attempting to learn it.
You've also got some great hovering technique, both of you. For like right now, you're kind of like doing a little bit of a crown scrape here, but is there like kind of like a rhythm and a timing that you guys have for your quick queen movement, starting with Woody?
Um, I've never really thought about it. I think it comes pretty naturally from KQA. Just when you're using like a fixed physical button. Um, I've spent hundreds of hours just modulating tap rates to be able to keep it up. The frustrating thing is that there's no like consistent rhythm. So like right now, I'm like tap tap, and I'm falling, and then it's like tap tap, tap tap, tap tap. So like I'm basically just using my rise and then letting myself fall to the spot that I want, and I'm occupying like I don't know, like a queen and a half's worth of space here, and I'm okay with all these. I think the thing is when you're hovering, a lot of the times you do have like a large error margin on the vertical space because the dive is so quick and so easy that it's like I can pretty well always go higher. That's not a problem. The weird thing, though, I think the weirdest thing about hovering is that like when you dive, you always move downwards like at least a specific distance, right? No matter like how fast you do it, right? The dive moves you down like a little bit. And so, like, I'm always trying to be more intentional about when I'm hovering that I don't want to be too low. Like, this is a bad hover, like, right here. One, because my feet are dropping a little bit and I could get, like, dashed out on. But two, because if I dive from that distance, well, I hit it perfectly. But if I dive from that distance, like right there, I'm going to go low most of the time. It's, like, kind of hard to... Oh, sorry.
Don't worry. That's cool.
Right.
I'm just gonna update my counter here really quick.
But yeah, so that I think being intentional about knowing the distance that your dive is going to force you down is really good. And also you can modulate with the dive based on how fast you tap. Like you can kind of keep yourself in the same spot if you keep diving. Is kind of the easiest way to stay exactly where you want to be. Like that's much more precise. That's like probably like 1 and 2 queens lengths that I can stay in. 1.2. And that's just kind of, that's what I think about hovering. I didn't realize that I was good at hovering, though.
Penguin I've seen do a lot of this kind of thing, too. And I think that there's like a couple of extra layers that Penguin might also have with that. So I'm going to open up the floor to him.
So first off, one thing about hovering is obviously there's no latency in KQA, but in this game, there's going to be ping, so hovering can be a little inconsistent with your inputs being registered. So one approach I like to take to hovering is utilizing the dive a lot. It helps keep the consistency up a little. And I always like to try and keep my feet above the ledge whenever I'm trying to bait. So, because if you go too low, they'll clip your toes.
When they're trying to attack you, right? Like in response.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's a warrior like right here or a queen, and I'm trying to bait them like this. Sometimes I'll intentionally go lower than the ledge, so they think they're free to go.
But only when you're at that range, right? Like if I was like right here, that's this is the area where you really want to keep your feet up above it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I'm like right here, for example, that spacing is like outside of that threat range, right?
Yes, then I would go down and come back up.
And then
see if I can
that baits me, and then
bite.
so it goes in here and you just drop me. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Also, there's like this kind of like wave dash thing I've seen you kind of do when when you make your inputs, like in a sense of like you kind of like have this forward advance like attack, like kind of like that. What are your thoughts when you're inputting that? Like, you look like you practice that a lot. Is there like a rhythm to that too, or like any particular rules that you adhere to?
Mostly I'm just canceling my dash, so that way I have better positioning and I'm never just stuck, doing my dash, because I never want to just be dashing, because at a certain point in your dash, you can't cancel anymore. So you're predictable. Like right here, I can't cancel right now.
And I get the
but like here, I can cancel by diving mid through my dash. So I like to make myself less predictable by doing that.
It's also like faster, right?
Yeah.
Do you actually physically move faster when you do that?
Custom? Is that possible?
Possibly.
Oh yeah, I can get you in the custom too. Let's see. 1 second. Let's see. I think I'm gonna have to exit this one, and that should be fine.
Yeah, Argos.
Queen, basically. That's what I got.
Yep. Let me go ahead and get you in here, Yeesh.
Dude, I remember the old school footsies where we just AD back and forth, no dashing or diving. Uh, Now it's all like, I mean, it's just you're gonna be, you can make more threats by dash diving.
Yeah.
Do you want the same map again, or is something you else want to demonstrate? You just
That
want.
maps worked pretty good.
All right, cool. Let's keep up the pod then.
This is like the best map. Also, especially for fighting, there's just a lot of room to work with.
Yeah.
It's not like Spire can feel a little bit claustrophobic sometimes.
Day map, best map.
This is the closest equivalent to a day map you think from KQA, right?
I mean, it basically
I'd
looks
agree.
the same.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's basically the same, actually.
So Yeesh, you're kind of like doing this, like, I see like there's like kind of like a rhythm to your movements in the top there when you were going around that gate. Do you, the same question to you then, like, do you feel like there's any like rules or like principles or like a tempo that you adhere to in order to be able to make your dashes more consistent?
Well, just off this opening,
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of like the old tally open, where if you put the lines are right next to each other on the spawn, so it's whoever can press the button perfectly as it hits one will win. I do the same thing where if I can time it perfectly, dash dive, and then dash again, I'll always kill my opponent if he dashes out. If he dashes first, because I'll beat him to it unless our timing is exactly perfect, and then we'll both clash off the open. So I know I can always at least win this open. Penguin, you've probably seen that a few times at least, playing me.
Yeah,
On this
I
map
think
at
I
least.
saw it yesterday actually.
Yeah, so we have this little mind game, and then sometimes Penguin will just wait here because he knows I'm gonna do the same play, and then it's always a fun little mind game off the open. So I'm usually trying to time it as it's going from 1 to 0. Like I'm starting to dash like halfway to quarter way left, and then I'm trying to dash dive out because I know I can at least clash or win the duel. It's the same kind of thing in like BQK, trying to like dive like halfway through the 1 to 0 so that I can beat my opponent first to the J on that map.
So you said it was about a quarter to a halfway through the attack animation you will cancel out to be able to beat your opponent on that top, right?
No, just like on openings. That's it.
Okay, got it.
So on openings, I'm waiting for the timer to go 3, 2, 1,
Mhm.
dash 0, and then I'm going. That's basically my timing.
Got it. Okay, so that pretty much guarantees you to be able to get there first to be able to beat your opponent in the opening. Got it. I
Yeah.
understand now.
But with like regular like this, probably the shorter the better, because you're not the shorter your dashes are, the less committal you're being,
Mm-hmm.
and the longer your dash, then you see like I can't really escape now if
Sorry.
you're trying to kill me.
Yeah.
So the longer I dash, then the riskier it is for me. But if I do shorter dashes, I'm less committal. I have more room to escape, and maybe you'll think that you're good to go, and you'll try to swing at me, and I'll punish you. So usually the smaller the dash, the better. But I think there are some situations where you could do stuff like this, and then try to like, like I'm using the ground to like extend my spacing against you, so I can like do that sort of play.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if I do it from here and I just footsie up, it looks then you'll just back off. But if I dive into it, one, it's just much quicker, and it's a little bit disguised because it's not as easy to tell as like this. Hey, I'm getting closer to you. It's more just like that's about the same, right? If I'm just diving in place here,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a little bit deceptive.
One small thing I noticed from that is you kind of moved from this position where I'm standing right here, and then you just kind of like did a cancel, hit the platform, and then attacked high. Is that something you also kind of like incorporate into your tactics?
Yeah, so as I said, kind of like diving down to gain space. Like this is gaining space in this footsie battle, but you maybe not realizing it because it looks like I'm just going straight down, but in reality, this versus this is very, very, very different. Like I literally went from here to here just by doing this versus like that. So it's a big deal. That's something to look out for too if you are playing against a queen and they start diving in place.
Mhm.
Their range is very disguised, and it's hard to anticipate exactly where it's going to come.
Yeah, that's a mechanic I wasn't aware of, and that's something I'll be practicing more as I improve my queening. Thank you so much for that. That's really cool. Also, an opportunity just to point out for people in chat, we are open to like questions or comments coming from the audience about like anything you'd like to demonstrate or for us to be able to talk about. So if you put anything up there, go ahead and just ask us, and we'll be able to talk about it. Also, you know, if basically just to give us a small donation, and we'll be able to do some of this other stuff. So that's fine too. Okay, so we talked a little bit about being able to do the mechanics for L dives a little bit earlier, and we talked a little bit about air cancels. I wanted to open up the floor to all three of you as queens for like what else do you like to do for spacing? Like what other spacing tools do you have as queen that you like to use? Start with Woody.
Other spacing tools that I like to use?
Yeah.
Oh. Feels so weird not having the queen while talking about it.
I can also come back to you if you're still gathering your thoughts on it.
Yeah. Let's go to somebody else.
All right, Penguin. What are your thoughts on extra tools that you have in your arsenal?
One tool that I think is pretty important that most queens are starting to use it, but newer queens probably don't know about it too much. Is dash canceling. So that way you don't overcommit, but you can gain some space on the opponent. Just pushing backwards. If you're on a controller, it's good to. So you want to stick as high to the ceiling as you can while dash canceling. So one of the best ways to do that is to turn yourself. So it's hard to explain, but like to turn yourself backwards while doing it helps cancel some of that momentum. So for me, like pulling my stick, if I'm facing left and I'm doing it, I'll pull my stick to the right while I'm doing it, and it'll help cancel some of that momentum.
So are you saying like if you dash left while you're dashing left, you turn your stick right and press dive?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And it's all super quick, but that's
yeah,
like
just
a
to
series
note,
of
you
inputs.
can do it without, but if you fade back, it's less committal. The fade, like if I want to like be more aggro, I can hold right versus Penguin in this position here, for example. I can just hold right to like
I see.
try to pressure him. But what Penguin's doing is just less committal. Because
I get it.
maybe I think, oh, he's in range, I go, and then like right there, for example, then he's fading back already. Instead of fading forward, and then maybe I kill him if he fades forward.
I definitely played a lot more defensive. I usually don't go for a lot of attacks, whatever. Just going for it. I like to try and make the other person overcommit first.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I knew that was like a thing, but I never really thought about it like so intentionally as like using dash dive cancels to like gain little space on an opponent that you're doing footsies with.
I DC'd, by the way.
Yeah. Are you able to reconnect in?
Let me see. I don't know if I can.
I've seen people be able to do this in the
open
past.
If it's open to friends or if they have the code, he would be able to.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and what I think I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna exit the game again and get him back in.
Yeah, I can only spectate.
Okay.
That's the only option. But yeah.
I'll get you back in now. Go ahead.
Let's see, the other spacing tool you can use, so if you're a queen and you're up against a sword, the other spacing tool you can use is being below them. Being like right below their head. Because you can get very close to the sword, and you have all the advantage because they can't attack straight down. So you can always approach below a sword, and they can't hurt you, but you can always threaten. If they're trying to like dash away, you can always punish them. So that's another big thing to look out for with spacing versus warriors. And then versus the mace, obviously, timeouts are ideal. You'd like to go for the timeout? Timeout is the best way to approach a mace. I mean, you can attack them while they're spinning, and you'll still usually be okay. But the timeout is the almost 100% effective.
Let's actually do some demonstrations on that. I can get up as a warrior. Would you be able to get up as a mace, and we'll be able to do opposite demonstrations?
Absolutely.
Super mace, I got sword. Alright, so I'm going against Yeesh here, and Yeesh, you want to be directly below me as I'm kind of like trying to just do my thing where I'm attacking around you.
Yep. There I messed up, but I should be dashing right up into you,
Mm-hmm.
which should be the best way to like that.
In that case, you're kind of approaching beneath me, but you get around to my side to be able to get an attack on me while I'm rising.
Because I still have to get above. I still have to get closer to you, and that's why you can't punch me like you did there. But if I'm in this position, as long as you don't fade, like you cannot hurt me. And then if you dash either way, then I can always chase you. But ideally, I'm like trying to get up right below you and then get close with a move like that. Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm hunting you here, let's go ahead and just show this in action. And in that case, like, you know, drop down a little bit. Basically you just use your spacing to be able to get to my side, and then wipe me out as I'm falling from my attack.
And you can definitely play around this, like as a mate sword. Instead of dashing, you could just hover in front in place, and I can't do anything. You can't do anything, so it's kind of a stalemate in that sense.
Okay.
But I can get very close to you while doing this, and then ideally kill you. Showing here that maybe that there is counterplay for sure. It's the same thing with the mate, where it's like if they're spinning, and then obviously being above. So like if you drop down below, like you're kind of doing there. Like if you get down here, then what I can do is always beat you and then be above. And then of course it's the same situation where I always have the advantage because I'm above you. This is always ideal. Like I can't really die here, but you can die. So and then you can just go back and forth. And if you want to show the mace,
yeah, let's
well.
Penguin on Woody, Penguin versus Woody for demonstrations.
Okay, so I would definitely maces can be a little glitchy in KQB with ping and stuff, so I've opted to basically only go for timeouts. Because they help. So I just follow the mace until their mace runs out, and then dash the second it's done. I try to outspace them, and then if I do it right, I'll be able to dive dash kill them.
Yeah, and even with this, it's not committal. So if Penguin misses, okay, well you didn't get the kill, but you're not dying at least, right? So.
Yeah.
And then if you can also take a swipe at a mace, for example. If you like swipe at them and then dive out, well they can't kill you from that, so at least you get a chance at killing them. And if you miss, it's not the end of the world, you just dive out, you know?
Oh, I guess I gotta move away from the ledge.
Oh, also if the mace is hugging the ceiling, you almost always go for the kill. Because it almost always works.
It's the same thing with if they're just on the ground, you can literally just swipe on the floor.
Yep.
Just do this, and you'll always catch them. That's why you kind of want to be like this sort of movement, like bouncing up and down, just making yourself harder to hit. Or if you're on the ground, just doing like this.
You mentioned that like if they're on the ground and just spinning the mace, you can always swipe underneath.
Unless they're doing this movement. If they're just walking like back and forth like this, then you can always just basically approach like that, and you'll be okay.
So Woody, let's just do that. Just have you spin the mace, and have you like walk along the ground, and see and show how this works.
And you might like Penguin is showing, like you might get a clash, but if you're hitting their body, it's the same thing on the ceiling. Like you might hit their mace, and they'll be okay. But you're not going to die, like almost 100%. With the mace, you're almost always trying to aim for the body. If you hit the body, you'll either clash or kill them. That's why kind of mace. The other thing you can do too, like Penguin was saying, ping is jank in this game. Like if I'm playing a game, I can always press tab, see what the ping is for my opponents, and be like, okay, well, Kumzi, for example, has 120 ping. So with maces against him, even if it's like free, I'm gonna make sure I time out so that there's no risk.
Sorry.
Yeah, but what Woody was doing, hopping on the ground, is a super good bait.
Good.
Yeah, well, it's a huge exploit right now with the extendo mace. I keep harping on this right now, but the one big thing about like the extendo mace is that it like doesn't extend, right? It doesn't physically move from one spot to another. It like teleports from one spot to another. So like sometimes you'll have like a good like easy dive punish on a mace where you're either gonna clash or you're gonna kill them for sure. But like they'll land, and so their mace will like teleport through your sword and into your body and kill you.
And then hugging a wall as a mace extends it like really long.
Or if you, yeah, this corner is actually hilarious. If you do it in this corner, it's stupid. It looks really
Oh
hilarious.
my
Go for
god.
it. Go for it.
Circle away from my body. It's just.
Wow.
That's also. I mean, this spot's also not bad because you can just like do that, and as long as you hit the J, you'll same sort of thing. You're either gonna clash or kill them.
Yeah.
So
As long as you're precise, and then their ping is good. Or yeah, a timeout like that is even.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is I'm just like stuck there, right?
Yeah, or like if someone's ledging, if it's a mace up here, that's really the best time because they can't really escape, they can't retreat anymore. So they either have to drop down and give up the ledge, or they stay up here and get timed out.
Yeah, and it's like, where are they dropping to? Like this spot, and then they can either go through the wrap where you're like dashing at them. They might catch you on like this like land stuff here to misdirect the mace, but or they're falling down here. This isn't good, but even if you don't kill them, like they're gone, right? They've completely left the space and you have control over it.
Right, and then if you can always do something as a queen where you just hold this position and you just wait for them to try to challenge you again.
Yep.
That's sort of something a good strategy on Tally too. You can hold the middle column and just wait for the mace in the middle column is always trying to get up into the hive so they can start ledging. Well, if you're just above them and you're just like, okay, come up, and then you just J at them if they try to come up. Versus gun, really you need to respect the shot, and then after that you're free to chase. There's not much to it besides the gun, and just the gun is scary when close range, so you kind of have to be really careful. Sometimes you can just have to go for it sometimes, but when you're getting away from them, vertical again is the best way. Like if for example this Arguas is a gun right here, if I'm above him, if I'm below him or above him, I can't die to the gun really, but I can always get closer and get space, and then eventually just do that same sort of movement before they can get the shot off.
So basically, like, you're tracking them vertically until you're within close proximity, then you just, like, move a little bit on the outside and then get the quick kill.
Right, but again, usually with the gun, they're taking shots almost all the time. So when they have the cooldown, obviously I'm hard chasing, trying, and there, the gun really wants to be above you because I can't. They want to be like this. Oh, okay. They really want to be directly above, trying to escape because I can't attack upwards. Right, they're always trying to be above my head.
Right, exactly.
So the gun's usually almost always trying to retreat above.
There is one little bit of gun tech that I think is kind of important to know there, and that is, like, you're saying that the shots themselves are kind of scary, but it's the only instance in the game where you can get a double kill, where both you and the gun end up dying at the same time if you're not careful about the inputs. So you always have to respect that threat range, exactly that pixel right in front of the gun, which we probably should grab a different map to be able to demonstrate some of that, but like it's just something that is on my mind when I'm queening against gun.
Yeah. I actually have a couple of questions from Bee's Knees in my chat. If we wanted to take those.
Sure, let's take them. What's the first one?
The first one is, are there good ways to safely approach getting back to the top of the map on maps with no vertical wrap? So just
like this one, for example.
Yeah, so perfect map for this, because so much containment happens at the side gates, and that's why like the far bottom of the map between the side gates, like through the wrap where the snail nets are, is like such a dangerous area for
yeah,
queens to
you
get through.
never ever, if you're a queen, you never ever want to be here. I don't know if the question, if Beesneys is particularly asking if how does a queen get out, or just how anybody gets out, but as a queen, a lot of the time, like on this map for example, full mill is pretty common. So a lot of the time I spend my time right here protecting this gate for my teammate, because usually teammate, if we're wiped and we're trying to get up, the teammate's going to try to grab this berry and get up right here. So I'm often here trying to like hold the gate for my teammate at least for a little bit, and then I'm running out. Usually I have 3 ways to go on this map in particular. I can either go this way, but then if Arguas for example is right here, then I have to now fight him, and then the queen could be right here, and then I'm just stuck. So that's no good usually. So I'd rather avoid being down here if possible. I can also go this way. This also is fairly common. Like if a sword's playing here, they can dash like that, and you can,
like right in front there, yeah.
and you can always catch that tunnel. And there could be a mace like playing right here that drops down. So ideally, if I'm running away, I'm running away from the center, and then I'm going up this way. The only time I'm ever really running into the center is if there's a queen, like for example, Penguin's playing right here. Because then if I go this way, now obviously Penguin's just gonna go like that and kill me. So if Penguin's in the top wrap here, then I have to either run mid and get out this way, or I have to go down this way and hope I beat Penguin to it. But usually, if Penguin's playing here and he sees me go low like this, Penguin can just kind of track me like this. He'll just go like this and meet me at the other side. And just same situation. If I try to come out like this, then Penguin's just gonna crush me real quick. So usually it's where the queen is going. If you're a queen, like, okay, where's the other queen at? Because that's the most important. The queen is the most precise. So if the queen is mid, like here, I would almost always run this way and escape that way. Try to get to the top of the map this way. If the queen's in the top wrap, I'm usually gonna go mid and try to go this way. But usually it's the path of least resistance. Where is there not a warrior? go that way.
Which I think the part of the question that Bees Knees has is like how do you find the path to be able to escape from this area, to be able to, for example, throw berries into the hive or try to be able to get up to a gate. And I think that all rotates around the choke points that are currently being managed, and also whether or not you have an escort. Is this a reasonable statement?
Just mostly where are their warriors at? That's really where it mostly comes down to. Like, if the warriors are playing mid, then a lot of the times the wrap going up this way is gonna be safe. If their warriors are hanging out here, go mid. So it's really just flexible. I don't know, Penguin. What are you trying to do when you run away on this map? Because you're also pretty good at that.
Yeah, it's about the same. Look where there's the least warriors and go that way. Also where the queen is. Whenever I'm going through the middle, I try to save time by zigzagging and being less predictable too. And never just flapping. I don't try to just go straight up too. But also I like to stay below where the warriors are. As you said earlier, you can just, because they can't really kill you from below. Or from above. You're below them. But yeah, just going to where there's the least warriors.
Unless it's the mace. The mace is the only exception to that, where the mace can kill you from above and below. But if a mace is below you, it's not the end of the world, because I always have advantage, at least with my dive. You more likely than not going to get the kill.
With that in mind, what are the as queen? What are the on this map in particular? What are the scariest places for warriors to be? Like, if you're trying to be learning this game about trying to be able to, like, how do I increase my kill count as warrior, and I want to be able to be going to where the action is always, and I want to be in the right position to be able to kill people. Where should I go? Like, if you're
mace, I think a mace is so good right here. Mace is very, very good right here. Because you can drop down on queens coming through here. You can drop down on queens coming through here. You can drop, and then you can kill any drones that touch these berries. So this is definitely a good spot for a mace. For a sword, I think I like where you're at, Argos, because you have the mobility option. You can be here to cover this. You can be here to cover this drone. If a drone comes for this berry pile, you can always go like this and catch them as they're falling in midair. Usually, like a drone, they'll like be hopping down and they'll jump like this. And you can always just catch them as they're falling. And then as a sword here, you can also, if you see, oh, the queen's trying to run up here, you can even go like dash, and then you're right here, and then dash and catch them.
Up through the top?
So,
creates mobility?
But I think it just depends where your teammates are. A lot of the times if you're looking for warrior kills, it's better to do it in 2v1, like you plus Woody work on a warrior at the same time. 2v1 is going to be better than a 1v1. If it's just a 1v1 situation, then you're basically just trying to bait out another warrior's attack, or bait out the queen's attack, and then you can punish it. I mean, you can also try to dash first, catch them off guard. It's always another option too.
You don't have the cancel options as a warrior that you do with a queen, so you kind of commit a lot more.
Exactly. Once you've dashed, you've committed to what you're gonna do.
Alright, so we covered, like, this area right here is where a warrior is most scary for a mace, and then we have this area over here just because it gives you so much flexibility and control. Are there...
The best thing about the sword is the mobility, absolutely, because they're just as fast as a queen, basically. No, just a little bit slower, but they're almost just as fast. So, That's why the warrior, in my opinion, the sword's the best weapon in the game, just because they have the best mobility options.
I mean, with that being said, we were talking a little bit about spacing that you had for Queen a little bit earlier, in which you can kind of gain space by doing the cancel option. So overall, the warrior is with a sword is going to be a little bit less
Right. But out of the
overall.
warrior options, yeah.
It is, yeah, it is the best one for that. The other two options
Unless
are
you can
slow.
get like speed, right? Unless you can get speed, and then like speed mace is very, very good. Then you're about the same speed as a sword. Speed sword is also, it's not as good, just because the speed mobility you get from a mace is just so much better. As the speed you get from a sword is good, but it's not like as good as, for example, making a mace speedy.
Yeah, it's like you already have mobility, right? So getting better mobility isn't as good as like not having mobility and getting mobility.
Right, it's still good, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'll take speed sword over sword every day of the week, but
Yeah.
I would take speed mace over sword, I think.
I think the one big thing with speed sword is the rising kills right now are really, really strong.
That is true.
The travel distance ever since speed got the rise speed buff is so massive, because that's one of the few ones that like combos, because you're exploiting like as the dash also goes further, and you're exploiting it
The
on
best example of that
block.
is, you can show it here, Argos. If you play here, you can actually kill me if I'm right here. It's like if you're right here, you can actually dash upwards and kill. Like you can kill you're If you're a little bit closer, you can actually just kill me straight up from that position, which is just kind of crazy.
Yeah, sorry about that. I
Like,
I started a little bit too far away from you.
No,
You'll
but
try
yeah,
again.
I mean, like that fact that you can just one dash, and I'm like defending the gate, and then you just come through the wrap and just kill me is just pretty ridiculous.
So let's see. In doing that, we've talked a little bit about like how like the choke points kind of work for identifying where to be able to get out of tricky situations. We've talked about like the queen's mobility as to how they do their thing. There's the rising I need to be able to do. So like from here, if I just go run from this area right here.
Right. Oh, my bad.
That's okay.
But
It's
yeah,
okay.
usually like you'll be like right here. You see that the queen's defending the other gate. You just go like this, and like you just kind of own me. And it's through the wrap too. So if you do, the quicker you do it, the faster. It's something you could practice too, trying to figure out where is the exact spacing you'd want to be at in order to like catch your opponent off guard. But yeah, if I'm just chilling here.
Sorry, 1 sec here. So let's see. I'm just gonna run from the other side over here. Go back up to the middle. Did it wrong. There it is. I think I hit the middle. You were a little bit off to the left at the time, so you survived that first shot. So let's see. Here we go.
It's close. It's close to working.
I think you need to lift off if you start to rise.
If you start rising faster.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah. Okay. So
you want to mash, cause you want to hug the ceiling as you're killing me. Because I'm gonna be hugging the ceiling.
There it is, right there. Got it.
Yeah. And if I'm just a little bit too slow, then...
Pops the question mark.
Yep. It was appropriate, right? Did I get it right?
I liked it. So I think we've been talking about this, but there is another question that kind of fits into some of the things we were discussing. These Knees asked, also how to deal with situations where the other queen is trailing after you, you being the queen, and tagging the gates that you've just tagged. So like probably like a lockout scenario, and you're running, you're trying to get a pickup out of like one of the gates, and the queen is pursuing after you, and every time you tag gate, when you start to leave, they'll tag the gate right after you.
So on this map, I mean, it's very easy, because we can just demonstrate. So Penguin, if you want to just chase me. Yeah. And then I meet my drone at this gate, and then I like, one, I could have killed him right there, and two, like, if he tries to kill this guy when I'm up here, he either goes for me or he goes for the drone. Sometimes you try to do both, where like Penguin will try to lip button and then go like that, so he kills me and takes the gate. Usually that's the common meta nowadays. But a lot of the time, like, one, I can just turn on him. So if I notice him chasing, I can just kind of like pause. Like a lot of the times the queen's just gonna be like doing this, like not stopping for a second. And then you can just pause here and just literally just turn on them as they're dashing. the other thing too is like even if you don't pause, you can meet a drone at the gate. Like meet a drone at the wrong colored gate, because a lot of the time a drone, like for beginner players, you see this a lot where it's like, oh, that their gate is blue, I can't go to it because it's not the right color. It's not exactly true. A lot of the time, you can meet them at the gate at the wrong color and see if your queen can pick you up, because it'll snap you in super quick.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanna, we can demonstrate
Yeah,
this
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
I'll go to left gate so we can do the demonstration there.
But it's very easy to. It's very quick. It's almost instant. Like I have to be right there. So a lot of the times you can pick people up if the drones can anticipate where the queen is going, or the queen can be like, oh, I'm coming to right, and then the drone can be like, okay, cool, and then be right there, and that's still, unless the queen's literally right behind you, that's still too much time to where you're gonna get somebody up.
Mm-hmm. So that addresses that question. Did you have anything else in your chat, Woody, for other questions?
Yeah, one other thing, and I this might be a rather quick question, is it says, it's from Boo Writer, any suggested / essential bind control setup for Queen, equivalent to worker throw bind, perhaps? Or is it better / personal preference to have all inputs separate, free-flowing, and trusting your micro-movement tech ability? So just asking, do you guys use any, like, key binds?
No, so I'll tell you, I have a bind for worker, which is bind plus the plus, but it just does this as queen. It just kind of does this little like almost horizontal, slightly upwards dash, which does not really help me too much because I already know how to do this anyways. So, like it looks identical. This is not using the bind, and this is using the bind. So it's just exactly the same.
Yeah, I'll use my bind throw as queen sometimes. Just
if
for
they
like...
add a push to flap, I would maybe do that. If Liquid Bit ends up doing that, I would probably do that just because it would be easier. I don't have to mash as much.
Yeah.
But that's about the only thing. If Liquid Bit does like change that or add that to the game, that's about the only thing I would add as queen. If that ends up coming into play. Right now, it is not allowed because you have to do like a turbo button on your controller.
Yeah.
Or you have to do a bind to like press jump more than.
Yeah,
like
weird stuff that they don't allow.
Exactly. So if Liquid Bit does it themselves, I'll do it. But for now, I'm fine.
Yeah, the reason I like the bind throw to like rise dash like that is so that like if I'm doing something super like uninteresting, like you're flying through the top of the map just tagging gates, right? Like and there's no threats near you. By just like being able to mash a single button and not having to pay attention to like when my cooldown is up to dash again to move as fast as possible, it allows me to scan the rest of the map. I'm just like I'm doing less mental effort on my inputs, and so I just like look around. So if I'm ever using the bind throw to move as a queen, it's because I'm scanning the map.
Penguin, do you have any thoughts on the on binds for queen?
Like exactly the same. Like the only binder to the queen is the flap dash or whatever, and the same with the bind throw. But like as a queen, I can already do that, so I don't really need to use it. And if you play queen enough, you'll learn how to do that anyway. So there's not really any binds right now that'll help you.
It's really interesting.
I mean,
it's really interesting you guys all. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, would you do bind to flap or no, Penguin, if that became an option that Liquid Bit did?
I would at least try it. I probably would end up using it. It would be a good thing to test.
So I actually am going to ask a question to you guys here because I as queen, I use the bind throw a decent amount for being able to attempt to do L dives, and I do it as warrior for the same thing. Like using the bind throw, if I just basically kind of like mash that as my head's going to the platform, I can relatively consistently as a warrior get underneath this thing to be able to be like attack the tops. As queen, if I time it right, it gives me about like a 30% chance of being able to do the same scrape. Do you guys use it for anything like that or no?
Just timing for me.
Just timing? Okay.
Yeah, I'm just whenever I'm doing the J, I'm just trying to actually like hit the ledge exactly. That's the way I time it. I don't know if you do anything different, Penguin, but whenever I'm literally trying to hit the ledge with my dash is the way I try to do it.
Yeah, that's about the same.
So when you're doing that, do you just start mashing the jump button and just like do a single input for the dash?
It's about the same, I would say.
About the
Like,
same?
I have the same mash speed. I guess the faster you mash, the easier it'll be. Like, the closer you'll hug your head to the ceiling. So
Mm-hmm.
the faster you can flat mash jump, the more consistent your J's will be.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's mostly just a timing thing. It's not so much of
So
anything else.
I think the only like bind thing that we haven't talked about is probably like the most essential one, which is that you should bind the haha react to your dash.
The good old Tyler used to do that all the time. It would be it's so annoying actually.
It's
Because it just happens all the game. Just or bind your dive to heart and haha to dash. Just maximum spam. And
So-
then just go around doing this.
Nowadays, it's not as funny as it used to be because they put limitations on the bind throw. Sorry, on the emotes. So you can only do, I
for
think it's
sure.
you'll do like 5 in a row before it then puts you on cooldown for a while.
Oh dang, game 5 hype, let's go.
I have a lot of experience
You
with
can
my
show this
ha-has
opening by
being
the way,
capped.
Penguin, if you want to show.
Hmm?
Nah, you're good.
Oh wait, oh the opening, yeah.
Yeah, it's literally that though. Like, but Penguin didn't dash off the start, so it's kind of hard to demonstrate. But
So I have a question actually. So
Mhm.
I feel like there's something Penguin and Yeesh about queening with the nature of rising into a ceiling. Like I feel like when two queens, like say one of them's scraping at the ceiling and the other does like what you do, Yeesh, that dive and then rise into the ceiling and dash up, I feel like the priority goes to like the rising queen a lot. Does that make any sense?
don't know. Like, if he like, for example, in that example, Penguin is completely still. So
Yeah. But no, so like if you're like if someone is like hovering just below a ledge and the other queen is scraping at the ledge and they both dash at each other, I feel like the priority often goes to the queen that was hovering.
personally, I feel like I don't know. What do you think, Penguin? Because I think a lot of the time it just depends on the timing. But what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it really changes that much.
Like, we can actually show here. I'm gonna dash in 3, 2, 1. Like, that was kind of bad. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
you
hard to
didn't-
show it a real example. Like, I'll just
Yeah.
fight you here.
Yeah,
You didn't,
there's
you
a
didn't
lot
get
of
to the
it
ceiling.
just
Yeah.
in the game.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to fight you here. See if that. Or like, yeah, right here. There, I just dive out. 'Cause I messed up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then don't be afraid. That's why it's good to not be afraid to just like run away if you know that you messed up
Yeah.
your inputs or
Or
whatever.
if you can even go a little bit early. Like, well, if he goes for me, I kill him here. But I can always dive away if I whiff and hope.
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh, 2v2 berry battle coming up as well. In a second. If you guys haven't heard about that, that'll be fun.
Yeah,
What time is that?
I will be casting it when we get to a little bit deeper into it after teams form. So that'll be like after flight school for me. But like we still have a little bit more time if we want to do this, or we can do some closing thoughts if you guys want to wrap up. Basically, the question is like, how much time do you guys want to keep on going for flight school?
I got plenty of time.
The only thing I would say, like the main like thing I would mention is as queen on vertical, like to get better on vertical wrap maps, I would practice the wraps. If you can get like fluid at the wraps and not like bump into anything or stumble into anything, it's sort of the reason why people practice helix going through the map, because the faster you can go and you can do it fluidly without making any mistakes, just the more efficient you'll be on the map and just not having any like wasted movement at all. It's, you know, like if I don't think any queen's really got nesting perfectly figured out yet, but I think when somebody does get that map figured out, they'll be really good because they'll just be faster than the other queens will be.
I was actually gonna recommend nesting is a really good map to practice on, especially since not a lot of people know it, and there's so many different types of wraps on it to practice, just in general wrapping.
This map is definitely the easiest to do it on. you can do this too on Tally, and Nesting has one as
Oh
well
my
that you can do this on.
Oh my god.
Yep, and then eventually, if the other queen cuts it faster than you, then they
Yeah,
can
or
catch
you
up.
can do this play and try to
Oh
catch
yeah.
them in midair. This is getting more common now, where you kind of hover in midair and try to catch people doing this. And this is getting more common for swords as well, to try to catch queens. Oh,
Yeah, I feel like Penguin, you catch a lot of people on just like really tight.
like there. That is a perfect example, by the way, of
Yeah.
that. Like where he lips in under here to like catch me, and he does. Penguin can't die from doing this, by the way. If he as long as he dashes, it doesn't get fully baited, but he can dive out as well and always escape.
Yeah.
So this little swipe is never gonna hurt you.
Yeah,
That
like
one is.
there.
Yep.
It's super strong to catch queens.
But you know, the best tip I can give for queens is learn how to do berry juggling. That's my tip for the world.
Interesting.
Nah,
That-
I'm just memeing, but
I sure. I was about to say. That seems to be one of the less useful tactics here. In
but it's
one
sick
map,
to kick in the last berry.
it is essential. I have done 3 berries in a single map before as queen, and that's my highest I've been able to go. It's a beautiful moment when it ends up being pulled off.
One of the best things is to, when you hop on it, it gives it a little pop up too. It's also good to know.
Yeah, it's kind of like it looks almost like a soccer flick. Like you see kind of like like a rainbow flick in soccer. Like her feet kind of do the little rainbow, like actually what the legs for a soccer player like look like.
Yeah.
It'll kind of like pop the berry up. Whoops. But this is a fun little mini game to just honestly get better at movement and being precise.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like if you want to even for fun, this is something good to just do in like a custom, just to get better at like being very precise with your movement. You have to be literally pixel perfect when you're doing these juggles.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like Agent Snake is looking to get started with preparing for the berry off pretty much now, so I need to be able to get going. There's a lot more that we can... nice job, Penguin. There's a lot more to discuss here. I was hoping to get a little bit more to the mechanics on each map, but what I will ask is just a closing question, because it seems kind of it's going to be relevant to the community. When COVID is up, how do you guys feel about doing in-person tournaments for KQB, like at something like Bumble Bash, starting with like Penguin?
I think that'll be really fun. It'll also help with like latency. All the queens and workers will be at the same ping, so nobody will really have an advantage. And I think it'll help really good players shine. It'll be super hype too. Just it sounds really fun and amazing, and I think it would help grow
I just
the
want to do
community.
testing.
What was that? Sorry?
Oh yeah, I just want to do testing on land. I just want to do testing on land too to see what'll happen. Like, will the maze still be jank on land or not? I have a feeling it's actually not going to be, because everyone's going to be at 1 ping. So I think it's going to be more reasonable. But I'm very curious to see how the mace will, because the mace right now is definitely the most, in my opinion, the most jank weapon in the game. So I'm
It's just
curious to
not
see
consistent.
how jank it'll be after.
I've played a decent amount on LAN. Like that was actually the first experience I ever had with KQB, was because it debuted at Bit Bash here in Chicago, and I went there like before the beta came out, and it feels really different. It feels really good. In person KQB is awesome. And for that reason, like everyone's saying, like they're like all the KQB players look forward to like no ping, right? No latency issues. But one of the things that excites me the most is, as like a KQA player that's excited to get back to playing Killer Queen Arcade, is I'm looking forward to like more and more partnerships with like local Killer Queen Arcade scenes and the Killer Queen Black community. I think there's just we already have so much existing infrastructure with arcades, that we have these venues that like us to put on events, and we can just like have all these tournaments that we run, month after month after month. And so being able to partner with like Killer Queen Black players and have them like have a Killer Queen Black tournament at the same event, you know, like that really really excites me, you know, like the Chicago like summer tournament not being a Killer Queen Arcade tournament, but it being a Killer Queen tournament that has both Killer Queen Arcade and Killer Queen Black portions. I want to see that for like all of the majors, but I feel like I think about it a lot, and I always wonder because like Killer Queen Arcade also already oftentimes pushes like occupancy limits for really large tournaments. And so I'm curious if what we'll end up seeing is like Killer Queen Arcade minors at Killer Queen Black majors and vice versa. That there will be like a really big Killer Queen Black tournament and I'll come and play in some like minor Killer Queen Arcade tournament. With the big exception being Bumble Bash, where occupancy just isn't a concern. And then we just both have like the biggest, most fun tournament experience that we can possibly have.
Cool. So thank you guys so much all for your inputs here. Oh wait, actually, yeah, I think we covered pretty much the entire round table for discussions on those. I look forward to doing this again. I'm really glad we managed to do this during Extra Life. Once again, for everyone who is watching, you know, send us a donation here for like the wisdom of these incredible queens and players in the KQB and KQA community. And yeah, look forward to seeing you guys next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everybody for coming. I'm gonna go ahead and drop my link in my chat, so it's right there for you if you need to contribute. And Artbots, thanks a lot for putting this on. I really appreciate it. This is like all the questions and preparation stuff was really fantastic.
On top of that, like I'm hoping we can use some of the footage we got here for doing some KQB flight school videos. That would be good.
Yeah,
I can collaborate with you on that at some point to be able to get that done. Anyway, yep.
I love it.
All right, have a good one, everyone.